What's up, everyone? I hope you're doing fantastically well today. This is Raphael Garcia here on Thursday, February 17th for episode 111 of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. I want to thank you, as always, for taking the time to check us out. And please be sure to like, share, and subscribe wherever you find this content, whether it be on our flagship at MMAratings.net. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at MMARatingsNet in both spaces. You can hit us up across all podcast platforms: Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify as well at MMA Ratings, and on YouTube. Please be sure to like and subscribe there as well. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. We're at about 392 so far, so we're working to get there. So yeah, I want to say thank you. Then, I can't stand the way my hair like sticks out, but thank you for taking the time to listen to this show. You can hit me up at rgarcia_sports across all of those platforms. And of course, my co-host here, Riley. Hey, say hi, everybody. Riley is here for yet another episode to talk about some pro wrestling, as she is the one in the co-host chair today, because Shawan Humes, obviously, he is not on the show. He and I speak MMA every Wednesday. You can always check that show out at MMA Ratings as well, too. I also have another special guest. Solomon is over there hanging out with us, babysitting my good friend's dog for a couple of days as well. So I'm going to go ahead and say it. Your boy's been drinking a little bit. Good old whiskey and Coke, because I'm celebrating this weekend. Leaving one very, what's the word? Very, I'm just going to say a not great employer. So moving on to another position, which should be a lot of fun. 2022, I hope to have some big things in the works. So that's probably the first one. So your boy's been drinking to celebrate. I'll probably be drinking all weekend. So yeah, if you follow me on Twitter, there's going to be some shenanigans. But before we do that, let's go ahead and talk about some professional wrestling. And there's been quite a bit to talk about this week. We're going to be chatting about Cody Rhodes, of course, leaving AEW, potentially heading back to WWE. We're going to chat a little bit about AEW Revolution and also preview Elimination Chamber, which is this Saturday. So let's go ahead and jump into that and have a conversation by myself, I guess you can still call that a conversation, about all these topics, starting with Cody Rhodes first and foremost, because this was, if there's ever news I wasn't expecting, it was this. So what day was that? It had to be Tuesday when Sean Ross Sapp dropped the news about Cody Rhodes leaving. And I'm going to be honest with you, until I see something official, I would not be surprised if this is a work. Now, what I mean by that is if they're working everybody, like if this is a work, everyone is getting worked. The WWE, all of the media covering it, people backstage at AEW. If this is a work, this is a massive, massive work on, and everybody is being played at the same time. And that's, if they want to play that game, they're going to have to face the repercussions of that as well too, because they're going to lose a lot of credibility when it comes to trust. And this is not something to say, oh, the media is stupid. There's going to be people that want to jump on everyone's backs, like, oh, the media, the journalists and professional wrestling suck, this, that, and the other, if this is a joke over it. But it is not on them. This would be on AEW, because they're definitely ribbing everybody if that is the case. If this is true, and we do see him go back to WWE, that's going to be huge. And it's huge because there's a lot of different ramifications of that potential move. The first thing that I think of is, of course, they get Cody back. He is a bigger star now than he was when he left there in 2016, but that's not the case, that's not the whole entire case, because if they bring him back and he is leveraged correctly in a positive manner on television, then he can become a cheerleader for WWE for other people who may be leaving other organizations. And that's the big issue right now with WWE, is that they're seen as the bad guy in the room, because everyone sees how they treat people like Mustafa Ali, how they book the women on the roster, how they get people like Big E and promote him up into high spots, but then just pull the rug out from under him, how they rely on part-timers like Brock Lesnar and Ronda Rousey and others who may be coming back. We'll be talking about them in a second. So people see that, and WWE understandably has earned that bad guy designation. But if Cody goes back there and they book him correctly and they treat him right and they elevate him, if he's the guy who dethrones, could you imagine if he's the guy that dethrones Roman Reigns? Could you imagine that? That would be huge. I don't see that happening. I hope they would do something like that just to kind of shake things up, but I doubt that they would. But if he's booked in a very solid fashion for an extended period of time, like I don't want to see him booked well for like 3 months and then he's in the 24/7 chase every week. No one needs to see that. But if he's booked well for the extended period of time, this may open up some doors for them to be in a bidding war for like a Jade Cargill, for like a MJF and other individuals who may look at WWE and like say, they'd have to cut me a pretty big deal, but then they are actually treating people right. That would be huge. And he could be a spokesperson or per se for that type of opportunity if it does come up. But yeah, he would be a big get for that company if he does move over to them. I hope it happens like the Monday after WrestleMania. I think that's the right time to do it. And I would love to see him in a storyline with Roman Reigns. I mean, Cody versus AJ Styles, Seth Rollins. Who else did I say? Like Roman, of course. There's so many different guys that I could see him working with that I think would be exceptional, like the watch from a television standpoint. But again, it all comes down to if the booking is correct, and that's just something that no one can trust WWE with, which is understandable. They do not have the good track record of being able, or not necessarily being willing to book things correctly that make sense, that make for good television. You see that they do that. Sometimes they've done it with Roman for 2 years now since he's been back. But anything beyond that, they almost seem like they don't want to. They don't have any intention of booking anything in a way that even makes for good television. Like we've come to a point now where we recognize that WWE is all about sports entertainment rather than professional wrestling, which is understandable. That's fine. They're making record-breaking levels of revenue year over year. They just announced that at the latest Earner quarterly investors call this month. So it's understandable, that their strategy is working for them when it comes from a revenue standpoint. But the content they put in front of the public every single week is not good. Full stop. There is no, but this, what about that? Nothing. No, the content is not good. As from a television standpoint, it's not. And a big piece of that is because Vince McMahon. We've talked about this year after year. People have brought this up year after year. He is a 70-something-year-old man booking television that he likes to see, and he's out of touch. I saw something the other day that I don't know if it was true or not, but it wouldn't surprise me about Vince saying that he thinks nothing's wrong with the product right now. And then, with guys like Bruce Pritchard and Johnny Ace around him, they're not going to say anything to rattle the boat or anything like that. They're fine collecting their paychecks. So, nothing's really going to change from that standpoint. So if Cody is booked in a well fashion when he returns, I think it has an opportunity to have some positive benefits and some ramifications across the entire organization. From an AEW standpoint, they'll be fine. The Bullet Club is fine, as they say. But I think that it is eye-opening that he left, because if Cody didn't do the things he did at the start, there wouldn't be any AEW, period, full stop. I was writing about that this week, and I looked back at the All In poster from September, I believe that was, of 2019. And dude, he was the center of the poster. No Kenny Omega. The Bucks were on the poster, but it was all Cody. He's the one that took on that challenge from Dave Meltzer. He's the one that really kind of got the ball rolling. Yes, other people helped from a finance standpoint. The Bucks played a big part in that. But yo, imagine if Cody doesn't do that. AEW isn't here. The Bucks are probably in Ring of Honor. The Bucks are probably in Impact somewhere. The wrestling landscape looks totally different than it does right now. And I think that says a lot, and it cannot be ignored. I haven't seen much of it, and I just don't think it's because it has started yet. But what I do not need to see is any Cody wasn't that good for AEW or any Cody slander when it comes to what he did for AEW. I'm surprised I'm the one that's saying that, because I used to slander Cody left and right. I mean, I still think his promo against Anthony Ogogo was fucking ridiculous. I still joke about him and his wife being the people to end segregation in the South. That's how they speak of themselves. That's how he did, at least in that promo or whatever. And I still think he's out of touch about that type of stuff. He's shown it multiple times. His wife has as well too, at least the way that she presents herself on television in the last couple of times. But that doesn't mean that they weren't a big benefit to AEW as a whole. And anyone who tries to denigrate that, I think is telling on themselves. This AEW versus WWE war, per se, has shown that there's a lot of individuals who cannot have good faith conversations about either product. And those are the people that should be ignored, to be honest with you. Those are the voices that aren't really welcome, at least in my space. And I make it a point to try to kind of isolate some of them and make sure that they're blocked and silenced. But, it is what it is. So continue with AEW. Revolution is coming up in 3 weeks on March 6th. Yep, 3 Sundays from now. And I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a big card. They only have like 2 or 3 matches announced so far. So I think that that's going to be a good showcase. I hope, knock on wood, but I think that's going to happen, that they're going to go with Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa on that card, which means it's not going to main event. I have wrote about them being a main event quality feud if booked correctly. The storyline's there. They're 1-1 against each other. They have long history, but I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to go with Adam versus Adam as the main event, which makes sense. But yeah, that card's still coming together right now. They have the Revolution ladder match with Keith Lee's in it. Powerhouse Hobbs is going to qualify, spoiler alert, on Rampage this week. And they have other individuals as well. I don't know if they're going to have any surprises in that. They probably should. I'm not sure who. Hopefully it's Buddy Matthews. News broke this week as well about Buddy being someone who is headed towards the company, also by Fightful Select. And I'm surprised it took them that long to bring in Buddy. I thought that he would be one of the first ones signed when he was released back in June of last year, but he wasn't. He's still been working across other companies, putting on great matches. But Buddy is someone who, he fits the AEW style. He didn't fit the WWE style because he it's not that he didn't have any character, but he just didn't have what they wanted, per se. But the dude can wrestle. He has some personality behind him. I think that he has what it takes to fit within the AEW mold. If you can tell me that we'll get matches with him, with Bryan Danielson again, matches with him and Kenny Omega, Adam Cole, Sammy Guevara, Dante Martin, Ricky Starks, and so many different others, I'm here for that. I would love to see that at some point in time over the next couple months or so. So let's see how that goes. Him and Andrade again, him and Malachi Black, all that stuff works for me. So sign me up for that, please. Let's see. But that's the Revolution ladder match. They've also booked a dog collar match between MJF and Cody, CM Punk. Okay, this feud, I get why it's big. I get why everybody is invested in it. I've kind of had enough of it, per se. I want to see the Cody turn where she turns, or excuse me, he turns, and MJF is able to say, "I told you so." Like that's really what I want to see. I want to see MJF able to say, I told you so." That Punk is the heel that everybody knows he is. But we're not there yet, obviously, of course. So, but that's going to be a good match. It's going to be a bloody match too, as well. Sorry, my cat is back here acting up. But she's going to be, that match is going to be a bloody match as well too. They haven't announced it yet, but we're expecting Adam Cole versus Adam Page, so we'll probably see that as well too. The only other match they've announced a triple threat tag team match for the AEW titles. Obviously, Jurassic Express will be in that match. Probably Red Dragon and maybe the Bucks. Let's see what that looks like. And that's going to be good regardless of the fact. But I think that there's a lot of opportunity to book a lot of good stuff across this pay-per-view. I think it's going to be a really good show. I was having some thoughts for myself this week or today actually about whether or not I should try to go Double or Nothing. Again, we'll see. We'll see who from the wrestling crew goes, and then maybe I'll add that into my vacation calendar this year. I should at least look up the dates and stuff. But Revolution looks like it's going to be a very good card, and I do look forward to watching that on March 6th. So I want to turn my focus over to WWE. I have two topics to talk about there. The first being Stone Cold Steve Austin. Rattlesnake, the dude, is supposed to be coming back to WrestleMania. That news broke on Monday. And what's interesting about the Cody Rhodes news and the Stone Cold Steve Austin news is that the Cody news has basically wiped Steve Austin off the attention meter. The minute the information about Cody started coming out, that was what was trending across all of my platforms, social media platforms. Now, with that in mind, yes, Stone Cold is the bigger star. If it comes to fruition, if he does actually return, he is going to be the bigger story. Full stop. Period. But right this moment, right now, the bigger story is Cody Rhodes, and that blows my mind. It's something that really stands out to me. But I think that is huge, and it's something that I'm looking forward to seeing what is next if that does happen. But I do have some question marks, and maybe question marks and concerns is the way to say it, because Stone Cold has not wrestled in 19 years. There's a whole generation of professional wrestling fans that do not know what it's like to see Stone Cold Steve Austin perform live or to watch an event live as he's wrestling. And that's telling to me. I think he's 57 now, and I hear that he's supposed to be booked against Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is a great person to book him against. If they had to book him against anyone else, it would be AJ Styles. One of those two guys, or don't come back at all. But I don't know if that's enough for me. I don't know if that's enough to get me excited. In fact, it does not get me excited about this. It doesn't mean as much to me. He doesn't save WrestleMania season for me. Period. And I don't think it's enough. The reason being is because WWE booking has been so bad as of late that I've been pushing, and I've been wanting to say that I would like to see younger individuals who are going to be around get this limelight. Because once Stone Cold comes and he beats Kevin Owens, then what? What does that do for KO? What does that do? Because WWE's not going to book him to get a series of wins and build him back up again, and before putting him back into like a big main event picture. So it doesn't mean anything, and that just doesn't make things exciting for me. And there's also news that there's going to be another Stone Cold level of surprise. But who else is a Stone Cold level surprise? The only name I can think of is The Rock. Who else is out there that is a Stone Cold level surprise to be at WrestleMania? I cannot think of one other name outside of Dwayne Johnson in that situation. Now, if you tell me that Dwayne and Roman finally face off, and I saw this too, that they're going to face off to lead to a potential main event for the next WrestleMania, which is going to be in Hollywood, okay, great, no problem. But what does that mean for everything that's booked between now and then? Does that mean it's pointless? Does that mean it's going to be surrounding the title? It doesn't need to. But with WWE, they do that so many times. They throw a title into something that, as if that adds stakes, because they don't know how to add stakes any other way to anything. So what does this mean for everything between this Mania and next Mania? Yeah, like this is the continuing cycle with WWE booking that it's just doesn't give you anything to be excited about. And I get it. Stone Cold is a huge name. People are going to watch because of Stone Cold. Hopefully they'll probably watch the Raw before if he does come back, and maybe the Raw right after. But again, what is WWE going to do to keep those people, and keep their attention? I do not believe they have the ability to do so anymore, because they're booking specifically to please Vince McMahon, period. So that is a concern to me. But again, I could be wrong. I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong when something like that happens. But again, like there's just, I don't have any hope for this product. And that kind of leads me directly into Elimination Chamber. Let's talk about some of the matches here. They have 8 matches scheduled for this match in Saudi Arabia and Jeddah. Now, over at Daily DDT, we are not covering this show. The team would rather us not cover the show because of what Saudi Arabia stands for and the sports washing that they're doing here. Basically, that they are a country and government that is anti-human rights across the board, especially when it comes to women. And even though this event is being booked as, look, we have 3 women's matches on the card, we know that women are still mistreated in Saudi Arabia on a daily basis, beyond compare. So like this, it's sports washing by every definition of the term. So I'm just going to do a preview here. We're not going to do any coverage over at Daily DDT, and we're going to leave it at that. So let's run through some of these matches here. Rey Mysterio versus Miz. Don't care one bit about this. I expect Rey Mysterio to get the win. Ronda and Naomi versus Charlotte Flair and Sonya Deville in a tag team match. Ronda and Naomi will win. It sucks that Naomi's being used to prop up Ronda Rousey because no one gives a fuck about her. Period. Like she won the Royal Rumble. I'm not sure how she's the baby face because she comes off like she doesn't want to be there. But Naomi has been having excellent matches with Charlotte Flair. They saved the entire SmackDown episode last Friday. Go back and watch that match if you missed it, because I definitely added that to my match of the year list because those 2 ladies showed out. And they inserted Ronda into the conversation, obviously making her the focal point because they need heat. They need some type of positive reaction for her, and they're going to use Naomi, who is organically over, perpetually over. They're going to use Naomi to kind of give some of that, hopefully, some of that favor over Ronda, but they're definitely going to win this match. Sonya's probably going to eat the pin or the submission. Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss. Don't give a fuck about this match. Drew wins. The Usos versus Viking Raiders. Okay, they're doing something different. They're giving a different tag team a title shot here. No way the Usos lose. They retain. The big matches on the card. Let's start with Becky Lynch versus Lita. It's good to see Lita back. She's another one who has not had a singles match in almost 20 years. I think hers is 15 or 16 years since she's been in the ring in a singles match. Hopefully this goes 6 to 7 minutes. Get her in, get her out. She cashes the bag. And yeah, hopefully she stays safe. I was not a fan. Like her doing that moonsault, she showed she could do it a couple weeks ago, but we've seen her look rough doing it more often than not lately. She's 46, I think. Let me see how old. How old is Lita? Amy Dumas, Wikipedia. She is. Amy Dumas is 46 years old. She's turning 47 soon. Yeah, let's see how that plays out. Hopefully she stays safe and they get her in, get her out of her route, any serious injuries. But Becky Lynch retains her title. Roman Reigns versus Goldberg. So Roman Reigns is going to win this match. However, I was on a podcast today with some other guys who work within the wrestling industry, and somebody brought up the idea that since Roman cost Goldberg the title at Royal Rumble, since Roman cost Brock Lesnar the title at Royal Rumble, Brock is going to pay him back here. And oh my gosh, I don't even know how to deal with that. Because if we end up in a situation where that happens, I can't even wrap my head around that. The only thing that makes sense from there is if Big E beats Goldberg. And you finally get that WrestleMania match where Big E gets to squash his hero. But Roman Reigns has been champion for almost 550 days now. Could you imagine him losing to Goldberg? I can't even imagine that situation. Goldberg has been in title matches for the last 3 years, since maybe 2016. Nobody wants this. I tweeted the other day about nobody wanting Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair, and that tweet is still getting negative and positive responses. But I'll say it again. Nobody wants Goldberg versus Roman Reigns. Nobody wants anything to do with Goldberg at this point. But imagine if he beats Roman because Brock helps. He ends this reign, and he has the Universal title around his waist, heading into WrestleMania. Remember what I said about Stone Cold and the fact that none of the booking is exciting? This would be a main example of that, and nobody would want this. Nobody. Like Keith Sweat said, no one. Let's see. Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Doudrop, Nikki Ash, Alexa Bliss. Elimination Chamber match for the Raw Women's Championship title match at WrestleMania 38. So everybody kind of had their eye on Bianca Belair because they believe that now is the time to give her her match again against Becky Lynch and give her that win back. I do not trust WWE booking to do that. Especially not since they added Alexa Bliss the way that they did on Friday. What was that, Friday or Monday? Basically, she just announced that after the end of her therapy session, which they clearly had no idea how to finish that hey, I'm in the match. Nobody, what are you all doing on Saturday? I'm in the match. They can't beat Alexa. They usually don't beat somebody like that making a big return. And Alexa has status in WWE. She has some strong status. So I don't see Bianca Belair winning that match. And Bianca won the gauntlet match to be the last woman to enter. That's not a good sign to me. The last person, the 30th entry into the Royal Rumble, doesn't win. the last person coming out of the Elimination Chamber doesn't win. So Bianca Belair, I do not believe is going to win this, and I think it's going to be Alexa Bliss. And I think a lot of people are going to revolt for that or a lot of people that look like me will, because again, it brings a full circle around. What the hell are they doing with Bianca? She's a crossover star. She has crossover power, and I think WWE fears that because they see that they can't really leverage Sasha the way that they want to anymore. So I think they fear the idea of having another black woman in that status, who is continually elevating her star power. She was just involved with Rihanna's beauty brand, which is huge. And I think that they know that they can't afford to lose her. I think they're going to lose her and Sasha within the next 4 years or so, if that long. Sasha's only 30 years old. Bianca's a little bit older than her, but those two women are bigger than the WWE. But I think Alexa Bliss is going to win this match. And then the other Elimination Chamber, Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Austin Theory, Riddle, and AJ Styles. Yeah, Brock Lesnar's going to win this match. And they're going to feed everybody. I joked the other day that Brock is going to pin every single person in this match. He's going to pin all the other 5 individuals and get them out of there. And that's going to suck. Because what does that do for the status of all these other 5 individuals in this match? Why? What of interest could they be doing at WrestleMania at that point after they've been crushed by one of the 2 men who are in the title picture? Because they're going to, if Roman comes out of the Elimination Chamber with the title, they're going to do that title versus title situation. No one wants that. WWE is continually devaluing their main event level talent and titles with stuff like this. But I do not see a way that they can book Brock Lesnar losing this match and head into a match with WrestleMania, or a match at WrestleMania with Roman Reigns, because he won the Rumble too. So he's already declared that he's going to take a match against Roman Reigns. So you gotta have him. How do you have him win both? They can't do anything else with that. So that's the situation that we're in right now. I believe Brock Lesnar wins. Everyone else gets relegated to not mid-card status, but not that A-level, S-level status. And that's the situation that we're all in. It sucks. Trust me, it sucks. I do not like it as much as the next person. But I think that's where we're headed. So the Elimination Chamber is this Saturday on the Peacock Network at 11, I believe. 11 Eastern Standard Time is when it begins. I will not be watching it, but I will be looking forward to seeing the results and kind of see what the fallout is from that. So that is the end of this episode 111 of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. As always, this is Raphael Garcia thanking you for taking the time to check out our show. Please be sure to like and subscribe and share our content wherever you may find it. You can check us out across all podcast platforms at MMA Ratings and on YouTube at MMA Ratings. Definitely subscribe to our show there. You can check me out across social media at rgarcia_sports. I thank you all for all you've done, the time to check us out. And everyone stay safe. Have a good weekend. And, enjoy some pro wrestling over the weekend. Adios.